Hello there, this is Rom coming back at you with yet another car video. You can't have a negative attitude towards women and expect to get one. Yeah. I had to think about what I was going to talk about today, one of those days, but we ain't going to get into it too much. And everything. But I'm going to tell you what. Too often, some dudes be saying, well, women this, women that. Yet, they still want the booty. They still want to get some from a woman. I'm going to tell you what. You can't have a negative attitude towards them and still expect to get a woman. That don't work. That don't work. Because I'm going to tell you something about women. If you got a negative attitude towards them, they can read that. They can see that. Because they can, if you have anything, even if you feel it, even if you ain't calling them a name to their face or something like that, they can see that. Now, yeah, they be doing some jacked up things. But I would use a crude analogy of a bad dog. Sometimes you gotta hit a bad dog on the nose or something, or you gotta let them know what they can and cannot do. Or a bad kid. The kids are basically good, but you gotta let them know what you gonna put up with or something. But if you gotta think about it like this. If you got a negative attitude, wait, let me let this car pass. I'm at one of those reds and whatnot. I let him go. If you got that negative attitude or something, a woman going to see that you going to constantly have trouble getting a woman. And you don't want that. You don't want that. Because you got to ask yourself, what are you getting from women? Now, if you messing with a woman, what they bringing? They can bring pleasure. And if you have the attitude that of what the select men have, what they giving the select men? Well, they treating them a different way. They treating them a different way. Now, I know some dudes will say, well, I ain't handsome like that. I ain't this, I ain't that. Well, hold up, stop. First of all, get off all that bullshit, because that's negative anyway. Because there's 4 billion women in this world. You handsome to somebody. 4 billion women in this world. You got some positive trait. Now, I knew this woman, and she did a seminar. She did an exercise with a group of women. And a group of women, group of guys. And she said these women had to go around to each single man, and find something good about him. And they were able to do that. And it was different things. One of the things you got to have as a man is you got to remember, shoot, you up here walking, you got something good about you. Now, is every woman going to see that? No, but they don't need to. Remember, you once again, 4 billion women in the world. I don't care what you got. I don't care. You might not feel like you look like some big fashion model. You don't need to. Because, look, even with that, some women don't like that. They don't like a man who's looking too good. So if you don't got that, you can't have that attitude. If you ain't looking like some fashion model or your height. There's a big thing about height, but let's be real. Most men ain't over 6 feet. And I've said several times, like, you get some guys, they are short stature, they getting something. But what is it about them? They got a good attitude towards women. They don't have a negative attitude towards women. Because that's the thing that kills a lot of guys. In fact, that'll kill a guy. He could be tall. He could practice body game, muscular. He could have a handsome face, but if he got a negative attitude, a woman's not going to mess with him. Oh, man, I saw Po-Po. I saw 2 Po-Po. You know, I got to like to always talk about that. And, you know, but here's the thing. If you got that bad attitude, it's going to reflect on everything, because that's really what hurts a lot of men. That's why you got so many men talking about, well, I'm handsome and stuff, or I'm saying I'm handsome, but they looking for some game and can't figure out why they ain't getting some play. I've had some guys comment. They say, well, I'm handsome, but I ain't getting any play. Or I'm handsome, but I couldn't do this. But here's the thing. You got to start off with that right attitude towards them. Because think about it. Yeah, women got all their issues and all of that. You can focus on that, or you can focus on the pleasure. Because let's be real. First of all, I've had women like hook me up, put money in my pocket. I wasn't even having sex with them. But just talking with them, and they would like hook me up with some or tell me about some, they would put money in my pockets. So it was like, okay, I ain't have sex with them, but they were still giving me something good. Have women cook for me, do stuff for me, ask about me. They were basically doing some good stuff. And yeah, I ran into some women who were negative, but I didn't look at that as that's all of them. I just left them alone. Because remember, I had an abundance mentality for it. And yeah, you're going to get some women who are going to treat you wrong, but that's on them. They ain't on you. Because then if a woman messes your head up by doing something, she won. You right. You done gave it to her. Because they're going to say something. I don't care who you are. I don't care how handsome you are, how tall you are, whatever. There's going to be some woman who's going to try to fuck with your head. But if you got a good attitude even with them, whatever. Because I remember there's been plenty of times I've had some women try some shit and I was just like, whatever. I was like, okay. They were I've had some women apologize. Because I ain't have a negative attitude about it. See, that attitude, man, I'm going to tell you what. And that's what I've noticed with some guys who've gotten rejected. They get an attitude about it. I was like, okay, that's that one woman. Because even men who I would call select, even guys who I would call Mr. Goodbar, they getting it. Every single one of them had at least one woman who rejected them. In fact, in my book, Nice Guys and Players, that's one thing I had on the back. I said, are you a player who can get every woman except the one you want? And you're going to get, first of all, ain't no reason to have an attitude. Because first of all, let's say you get rejected. You're all right and you get mad because of it. You made that woman win. Like, okay, here's an example. And this wasn't with a woman. This was a dude who I had an encounter with when I was selling books at a Harlem book fair like years ago. And I remember he was just talking some smack, and me and him were about to go to blows. And I never forget what he said. He said, now you won't be able to sell your books. And for 10 minutes, I couldn't. So I was like, But then afterwards, after that 10 minutes, shoot, I was able to do some stuff. I was able to get some stuff accomplished, made some good business connections and everything. But let's transfer that to women, because, let's just be real. Women be rejecting some guys just for sport. Like that show that keeps on giving, those balloon pop shows, sometimes women be going on there just to reject a man for sport. But then the thing is, when you get some men who be like, whatever, don't let that bother you, you like, okay, whatever. Like even some players, like let's be real. You get some players out there who play a straight numbers game. They get rejected. They'll say, they'll holler at 100 women, but they not worried about that, because all the 100 is going to reject them. They might get 3 women out of it. So they don't let that attitude get to them. They worry about those 3 women they can get. See, you got to have that mindset of like whatever. And see, even when a woman reject you, you don't know what's up with her. She could have a man. I told the story before when I was about to highlight this one woman I saw, and she was in a store. I ain't gonna mention the name of the store, but she was in a store. She was fine. I was about to pull up. was about to pull up, as we used to say, pull up to the bump, baby. And I was about to holler, about the cold approach. But then her husband and some kids came around the corner. Now, say I had talked to her anyway, she had rejected me. And just say, oh no, I got somebody. And I've met some women like that. They said, whether truthful or not, they had somebody. You just be like, oh, okay. You don't let that kill you. See, a lot of dudes be letting rejection kill them, get to them. They get one woman reject them, they lose their mind, or a bunch of women. Then they going all crazy. Or a beautiful woman. I'm like, whatever. Shit. There's so many women out here. It's like I always say, like this dude said during a webinar he did for me. And I'll never forget that. He said, shoot, you can get 10, any guy can get 10 women a year. He said 10, I say 12. I say more than that. Because you're going to get rejected. I talked about this time, I was thinking about this dude, he was about, I mentioned this story before. He was about to go to prison. He had the possibility of going to prison. This was a party on a Saturday. He had a possibility of going to prison on a Monday. And I remember when he said to me, he said, Rom, I might be going to prison. I need some puss. That's how I used to say it. I need some puss. So I took him to a party with me. And because he was dead set on getting some pussy. And there was some women, this in D.C., so he was dressed like a Bama. He was a straight Bama with it, right? His shirt was open to his navel. He had some tight pants on, some cowboy boots. And even this was in the early 90s, even that was on some Bama ass shit, right? And he was determined. As soon as he got to this, it was a pool party. He didn't come to swim. As soon as he got to that party, he started hollering at the women. And he got rejected. He didn't lose that. He didn't catch no attitude. But he ran into one woman. And she was just hearing everything he had to say. And I remember chilling out. I mean, those two just stayed together just talking. They ain't moved. They sat someplace and they just talked. He ain't move his head. My man was looking at her like, bruh, man. He ain't move his head and shit. I was like, God damn. Then all of a sudden he came over to me and said, Rom, I got to ride home. Now, he didn't catch it. He didn't worry about the women's attitude because a couple other women before that woman laughed at him. They caught an attitude. He ain't catching attitude. Oh, these women reject me and stuff. He ain't catch that attitude. He was just like, oh, well. He was going to do what he was going to do. You got to have that. Now, you're going to get some women out here. They're going to be some bad ones. I say it like this. There's so many. Leave them the fuck alone. Because, like I used the example when they had that thing at the Harlem Book Fair. Even though that was a dude, I didn't let that dude fuck with my head. He wanted me to get to the point I couldn't sell any books. See, when you allow a woman to fuck with your head, she's winning. And you get some women who want to do that. Like they want to do on that balloon pop show. They want to do that. They feel good. But if you say, you know what, whatever. You reject me? All right. You don't want to holler at me? All right. And you just go on and just do your thing. And that's how you got to be. Yeah. Anyway, I was looking. She don't have that butt dunk. Just real quick, y'all fellas, y'all ever see that woman? They look good from the front. Got a nice hip, but don't have that ass. Anyway, you can't worry about it. Now, you get some guys, they had some women do some shit to them. You can't worry about it. That's one woman. Because then the next one might be on some shit. On some good shit. Good shit. I should say that. Now on some shit, some good shit. Because that's going to happen. I've had that happen before. One woman be cool, be trying to on some bullshit. But then the attitude is to go on. Remember. See, that's when you learn See, that's really why you learn to develop your tribe. You pay attention to which women are going to be receptive to you, which women ain't. And as far as the women receptive, all women ain't going to like you. In fact, they doing you a favor. But see, you got too many guys out here, they be letting a woman fuck their heads up. They got rejected. They fucking their heads up. Okay, you allowing that woman to win. A woman said this or that to you. Cause shit, I've had some, I ain't gonna lie, I've had some women say some jacked up shit, everything. Cause it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I don't care who you are, what you look like. But you don't having a negative attitude towards women, period. Because I've talked to a lot of guys who got negative attitudes. I said, well, how many women have you talked to? Like I knew one guy, he ain't really even talked to women. He really approached women. He got rejected maybe by one woman, a few women, a handful of women, and then you have an attitude. I said, that's a handful. Come back when you've talked to 1,000 women. Meanwhile, I've met some guys who've actually talked to 1,000 women, still got rejected by most of them, and still getting some pussy. It is what it is. Because here's the thing with it. And I threw this out a little bit earlier. You got to think about, okay, you only worried about which women are right for you. You got to worry about which women are in your tribe. You ain't worried about the rest. You ain't thinking about that. And once you start figuring out which women in your tribe, you ain't worried about it. In fact, you will get to the point where you ain't even trying to talk to them. You can take one look at a woman and say, nah, she gonna be some trouble. If something happens, she gonna have to come to me. But then then you figured out which other women gonna be receptive to whatever you gotta throw out. That's the important thing. That's where you want to get to. But you can't be catching no attitude or something. Like you can't have this attitude, oh, I hate women and stuff. Man, please. Let's be real. You want all the positive shit that they have to offer. Because trust me, like I said, I've had some women, a lot of stuff. Women have told me some stuff that's put some money in my pockets. Women have been very supportive of me when I was going through some stuff. Had a lot of women when I had that medical issue back in 2023. They were very helpful. They were like, hey, Rom, what do you need? What do you need? One in particular. They were very helpful to me. And I was cool with it. And shoot, let's be real. Ain't nothing like clapping those booty cheeks, having a butt wave and all in the air and stuff. Cause if you a guy, come on now, you know you want to have to get that pussy. You know that shit feel good. Shoot, if for nothing else, you want to get that pussy, right? So shit. Why get an attitude? Now, is every woman gonna give it to you? Hell to the no. But you ain't worried about that. You only concerned about what you can do, what you can get, and the ones who are going to treat you right. And you're going to figure out which one's going to treat you right. And in fact, really, if you deal with enough of them, you get to the point all of them going to treat you right. Because they don't have a choice but to treat you right. But having an attitude and all that ain't going to work for you. It's not going to work for you. Let me see something. Pull back a little bit. Back it up. Up. Tilt it to the side. Yeah. But you can't be having that attitude or something. Because that's a big thing, because when you get a lot of dudes who got that attitude about women, negative attitude, I don't care what you say, what you do, what you say to them, how well you dress, what you look like, women pick up on it. Because women in general do pick up on a man's vibe. And they'll say that too. They were like, nah, he got that vibe or something. Women don't want to deal with that shit. And you don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. Now, I'll say this. If you want to keep that negative attitude and all that shit, this ain't the place for you. I've said that a lot of times, and people, it's funny because I had somebody didn't like something about me talking about unsubbed. Bye, motherfucker. Shit. I only want the wolves on this channel. I only want the wolves. Let me make that clear. If you ain't a wolf, stay the fuck off this channel. Seriously, I don't give a fuck. And I'm late. I remember one time I lost quite a few subs and shit. Didn't lose any sleep. Got the number right back the next day. But you gotta have that attitude with them. Because the whole thing is, just think about what good a woman is doing for you. And yeah, there's some bad ones out there. Leave them alone. You got 4 billion. You ain't cool. That's one thing as a man, you don't have to deal with any woman you don't have to deal with. In fact, figure it out. If you got a bunch of women, if whatever women treating you wrong or doing some bad shit you don't like, look at them. Look at them. Just pay attention to everything. Pay every single thing. How's their hair fixed? What's their bodies like? What's their body types? What's their personality types? Every little thing. Then after a while, you start seeing the patterns, because then that's when you start getting into the tribe and the women who like you. Like I said, I can take one look at a woman and already have an idea. Like one that's like, okay, she gonna be cool. All right, yeah, I might have to work a little bit with her. Yeah, she gonna give me hell. You figure this shit out. But when you dealing with women, don't have that negative attitude towards them, because you still want it. Because that kills me too. You get some dudes who have a negative attitude about women, but still want a woman, still want to have sex and all that. Man, it ain't gonna work. Because women reading every little thing about you. They reading your facial expressions, everything. They can tell. Like I said, if you got a problem with it, first of all, leave it to that one woman. If women do something negative, leave it to her. Don't worry about it. Do your thing. Anyway, that's all I got for today, y'all. I'll get back with y'all. But really think about what I just said, all right? Anyway, I get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.